This is tough and bittersweet. I love farming and I love raising chickens, but every journey comes to an end. For the past couple years, in the springtime is when we start off the year with getting new chicks. I either hatch them myself from an incubator or get them from my favorite hatchery, Murray McMurray Hatchery. And when I order them from the hatchery, it's pretty exciting to go pick them up at the post office once they arrive.
Thank y'all very much. Thanks for sending the text too.
And after we pick them up, we bring them back to the farm where I put them in one of our brooders. And each day we have to tend to them, giving them feed, fresh water, and giving them fresh bedding on a regular basis, making sure that they stay comfortable, that they stay warm, they don't get too hot, they don't get too cold, all the way up until they're old enough and it's warm enough to transition them outside. And I raise layer chickens as well as broiler chickens. And throughout the year, we raise several batches of these birds, equaling somewhere around a few hundred birds per year. And once they're ready to come outside, we transition both the layers and the broilers into chicken tractors. The layers will eventually graduate from the chicken tractors and go on into a mobile chicken house where they can free range in the pasture within electrified netting. But the broilers remain in the chicken tractors throughout their life, where I tend to them every single day, moving them and their whole tractor onto a fresh pad of grass each day, as well as providing them with feed and water. And for my broilers, I raise Cornish crosses, which primarily are for customer sale, but I also raise heritage breeds. I'll raise Delaware broilers, Niederrheiners, Murray McMurray's Big Red broiler, as well as their ginger broiler. And for those of you who don't know, the Cornish crosses are going to be your fastest birds to raise, while the heritage breeds are much hardier and tend to forage a lot better. And with each batch that comes out of the brooder, well, after they're out, I have to clean up the brooder as well. And cleaning out the brooder isn't the most glamorous job that there is on the farm. So if anybody wants to come do it next time, please let me know. But as with other tasks on the farm, we'll try to make it fun when we can and listen to music when we can sometimes too. So as I was shoveling the bedding out of this brooder, I had to play some music and dance a little bit too, just to spice up this job and make the mundane not so mundane. But the stuff that I harvest out of the brooder isn't just trash. No, it's good stuff that can be reused. And earlier in the year, this bedding goes into the compost, but later in the year, I take this bedding and just apply it right in garden spaces that aren't growing anything. And with doing all these things day in and day out, multiple times a year for hundreds of birds, you do get to the point where you're like, I'm ready to quit. Well, at least for the winter. Well, this past week came down to my last batch of birds for the year. So my youngest, Hezekiah, and I loaded up while Selah, my daughter, drove us across the pasture one last time to move and feed our last batch of birds for the last time of the year. All right, ready? Ready? It's cold. We're going. Each day, man. After all these months, it's winding down. This is the point where you're looking forward to the break of not having to do this each day. Looking forward to the colder months of not having to do this, and then you recover, and then you're looking forward to do it again. But right now, I'm looking forward to the break. All right, gotta move 'em. All right, last time we're gonna do this year.
Eat.
We're gonna eat them? Yep, it's our last time moving them, and then we're gonna eat them. Eat. And I can't help but come out here to the pasture and just reflect on all the work, all the movement that happened out here throughout this year, knowing that it's coming to an end. It has come to an end. And a lot of people who raise chickens for meat will usually gather them up in the morning during the day. And I've done that in the past, but I find it to be more stressful on the bird as well as the farmer, and to be more difficult. So instead of doing it like this, I prefer to gather up the birds that we're going to process at night. And that's what we did again for this last batch of birds. Let's see here. Right here. And see how much easier that is just to grab them right in the dark when they can't really see. They're much calmer. And then just put them right in the transport crate. And after loading them all up in the transport crate, my oldest son, Josiah, and I carry them over to the vehicle to drive them over for harvesting in the morning.
Yeah, use both hands. Yep, you got the weight on these birds. Alright, we're going to go ahead and go back to our regular right now. Don't shine it in your eyes. I'm directed, and not you. Be
And in addition to all those other tasks that I just mentioned, well, we also have to harvest chickens a few times a year as well. And one of the things that makes that task more pleasurable, well, one is to do the task with people that you enjoy doing it with, but another one is having good tools to help make the job easier. When I first started off, we did pretty much every single step of harvesting a chicken by hand. But gradually I was able to get a piece of equipment here, a piece of equipment there to make the job more fun. For me, the tools that I went with first were the plucker and the cones. Those were big. And then just this year, I got a Featherman scalder, which makes things a lot easier as well. Instead of having to constantly monitor the temperature to make sure it doesn't get too hot or too cold, the Featherman scalder makes sure that temperature is ideal constantly for me. And recently I ordered a new piece of equipment that came in just in time to use on this last batch of broilers. Number of things in this big one. Snap it. Fit in there. But we did face a challenge on this last batch of birds that we harvested. Well, let's just say I prefer the temperature not to be too hot, not to be too cold, and to be dry, sunny. It could be overcast too, that's fine. But we had rain and it was chilly. And we had a deadline to meet, so we had to do it in the rain. And to somewhat keep the rain off of us, we put a canopy over us while we worked. Keep going. A little bit lower side. There you go. Despite the rain, we moved the chickens into position for their one bad day here on the farm.
I've been carrying those fat things all day long.
Oh, and I didn't say what my new piece of equipment is. Well, it's a Featherman roto dunker for my Featherman scalder. Let's do the honors. Our first step in processing chickens, like a lot of other farms that raise pasture raised broilers, is dispatching the bird. And then after that station, the next part is putting the bird in the scalder. And for the past couple years, I do that by hand with a grill glove like this, a heat resistant grill glove. But even though they're heat resistant, still putting your hand with that bird in that scalding water, after a little bit of time, you can still feel a little bit of heat. And these gloves do wear out after a number of uses. So having a roto dunker to dunk the birds makes it so much easier. I just put the birds into the dunker, and then it automatically rotates the birds in the scalding water for the ideal time that they're supposed to be in there. And for the first couple of birds, as I was putting them in the dunker, I was trying to figure it out and get used to using it. And I started off with just putting 2 birds into the roto dunker. And with each pair that I put in, I got a little more comfortable with using it. And then we got to the point where I was putting 4 birds in there. Yep, you can put 4 birds into the roto dunker. We have a small but solid processing team. I'm on the dispatch station, and my 8-year-old son, Micah, is working the plucker now, along with my daughter, Selah, and our family friend, Anna. They run the evisceration station. And along with time and experience, adding new equipment and improving each year as we can just helps us to get the job done more effectively. And makes it more pleasurable too, even if we have to do it in the rain, like we had to do when we processed these chickens. And the last step of processing the last batch of broiler chickens for the year was breaking the meat down. And because of the rain, I had to say that for the next morning. I geared up with my work gloves, then rubber gloves, to break the whole chickens down into cuts. And this helps me to break the chickens down faster. This is one of the little tips that I got last year when I was at the APPPA Conference, which is a great conference for taking your poultry raising skills to the next level and maybe even beyond that. But anyways, after breaking down all those birds, I loaded up our freezer for chicken meat for the family for the next couple months. And then even after the birds are gone, you gotta put work in, cleaning up their feathers and the area you process them in. Yes, it is a lot of work doing everything that needs to be done to raise chickens for meat. But despite all of this, oh, and how can I forget losing birds at times, like that one time this year. I moved this chicken tractor when it was raining and it was rushing, and I didn't do a good job of making sure there were no gaps for predators to reach in under. And this is what happens when you forget to do that. I don't know if it was a raccoon or what, but it reached right under there, grabbed it, probably at night, because they were sitting back there at the night trying to be protected, and then boom. Man, it's all my fault. But with all the work that's involved and me wanting to quit right now and take a break, can't, because it's so rewarding raising meat for my family and for other families. So I do look forward to next year's growing season, even though I do want a break now for sure. But maybe we can make some other upgrades to make it even more pleasurable. Like maybe an overhang, so we don't have to process chickens in the sun or the rain again, because I was wet from head to toe.